Okay, I think we are. I'm just waiting for YouTube to confirm that we are kind of streaming this. Just a second, people. And we're gonna say a proper hi to you guys. Just a second. Yeah, we are live. Awesome. So, hello everyone. Welcome to episode number 42. I don't know why I keep thinking it's 43. We're almost 43. We're on 42. And as you see, I still recovering from the last episode as well. So thank you so much for everyone that was actually bed with me, and like Amanda as well on the last one as well. I feel much better as well. We had a really nice sleep last night, myself and my fiance, and yeah, recovering well as well. And actually, the topic for today, I was just talking to Amanda just briefly before we jump live here. I feel it's something that it can be confusing, especially like on the kind of self-development world and like the spiritual world as well. Like we say like, okay, there is that knowledge like that we can't like just go with everything that our mind says, because we're gonna go crazy, because you have so many parts to the mind, and like there will be thoughts of like, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you can do that, and everything else. And then also there is that line of thoughts like, you should follow your heart, you should follow your feelings and so on. And that's something that, yeah, I truly believe on as well. However, there is it can create some confusion in there when you feel, the feelings are anxiety, uncertainty, stress, and even like when you feel good, but is it feel good because like connected to the previous episode as well, we spoke about emotional eating. Oh, it feels really good to eat that cake. Do you see what I mean? It's like, it's a calling. Do you see what I mean? It's my heart calling me to eat those 6 packs of, biscuits. You know what I mean? It's a feeling that is bigger than me. Do you see what I mean? It must be the universe telling me something here. Do you see? So it's like, it's just like, I feel it's a balancing between. And this morning when I woke up as well, because there was lots of like, as you go through illness and everything, your mind can go racing at some place, and you're feeling a lot, you know what I mean? Like lots of physical, emotions, sensations, and everything. And then just this kind of
I'm not sure I understand.
No, you don't understand. It's like it's Siri trying to understand.
That's in her mind.
Yeah, she doesn't understand yet. So is what I'm saying is like, is finding that stillness. I think that was the answer that came, a few times when I read or listened to Eckhart Tolle, for example, years ago. That was one of the things that really, kind of really connect me as well. It's like, and then afterwards, even so, Eckhart Tolle with the Power of Now, if some of you have read it, some of you might have not. And so he talks about that stillness, like kind of finding that point of, it's not so much of the mind, it's not so much of like the emotions, it's just the stillness. It's just where there is, peace in there. And it's something that we've been talking a lot in the Alchemy chat, which is like observing that you're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions. It's kind of separating there. And it was beautiful even like to see from my mom as well. Like I shared this, I think, in one of the episodes that I shared with Amanda. I don't know if I shared it before, but my mom, like a few weeks ago, she was like, what is meditation that everyone is talking about? Do you see what I mean? It's like, there's so many people talking about meditation. Is this like a spiritual thing that you have to be spiritual, or uh, is it like a religion? And what does it do? And then I was like, Mom, I mean, my interpretation of meditation is like you being able to separate yourself from thought. It's like understanding. And then simply I was just asking her, like, what are you thinking right now? And then she was thinking, I'm thinking about your sister. And then there is a worry thought in there. Okay, so is that you? Oh, and then it's the first time that you have that, oh, do you see, it's it's not me. I mean, it's like, yeah, it's a thought. I'm worried about my daughter, like from my mom. Okay, and then like, okay, so now you had a little bit of time, like stop a bit for a second, and then what's the next thought? Oh, I have to do this and that for work. Okay, so that's, is that you? No, it's another thought again. So it's like just bringing that to that stillness, to that, what Eckhart Tolle talks about as well, like being the observer, the watcher, the one that is observing it, and not being so much contaminated or like lost in it. I would say it's almost like, okay, this is my finger, and then I feel so focused on the finger that I forget that I have the whole body around it. And I was like, oh, but it's my finger. I can't lose my finger. Do you see what I mean? My finger is the most important thing in my world. And maybe, you burning your whole body, or you're like, you're not looking after the body and everything else, but you're looking at just about that specific finger. Another, I think, example that we've done in one of the episodes, Mother and I saw this from another person that I follow online, is a Brazilian lady actually as well. And she was like asking, the other person, like, look at your hand and look at the details of your hand. And I would invite you as well, if you haven't done this, even if you've done on the other episode as well, like look at your hand and look at the details there, look at the nails. Are they really done? You know what I mean? Do you have, is there any wound that you have, any scars that you have? Do you like it? You know what I mean? What is it that you don't like about it? And then, okay, how many fingers do you have? And then the first, answer that most people would have is, oh, it's five. But did you forget that you have another one? Do you see what I mean? Did you forget that you have, 10 fingers now? And potentially, like in some languages, like in Portuguese, we don't actually call toes and fingers. We call fingers for the toes. And so it's like we call 20 in that sense. Do you
Oh,
see?
yeah.
So there's just curiosities in that anyway. But then you're like, oh, there's more than just my hand. So there's more than just my worry thought about my daughter, my worry thought about the money, my worry thought about the relationship that I wish I had, my worry thought about this, or my wish that, I could have that holiday, that dream, that's this and that's something. Or like it could be something as simple as like, oh, why is things doesn't work in this way, why I'm not, worthy, why I'm not. Do you see, there are so many thoughts in our heads. And how do we get, sanity in that sense, is just like getting into that stillness, that point of where you can come from zero, like find yourself. That's, find who you really are, that we always talk about in the alchemy chat. And then from there find the other step. And then also I went through the whole completely the other way around as well, in terms of the emotions as well, because we hear it a lot in terms of the spirituality and self-development, and don't follow your head, follow your heart. Don't follow your head, follow your heart. Don't follow your head, follow your heart. But there'll be a moment where you like, okay, I'm not comfortable here. There's something not right. Okay, but why? Can I just go to that place of stillness and then find the right answer? There is a, I feel there is a, like Amanda uses the word beautifully, the discernment between an emotion that is just an emotion from, everything that is going on in your head and everything else, or a really true soul, purpose emotion that comes through you. There will be a discernment that will come. But to find that, we get to go back again to that stillness, to who we really are. So I feel, yeah, I spoke quite a lot today for the little intro. It
I
comes
know.
along.
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful stuff, isn't it? And it's beautiful to share where we are, and what we understand, and what matters to us, and that's why we do this, isn't it? It's that beautiful thing of, you know, two people sharing where we are and our understanding of things and where we are. And as I was listening to you speak so beautifully about it, it's that twofold thing, isn't it, of understanding that when we forget that we are more than this human self, we think we are our thoughts, we think we are our emotions, and we think we are our lives. So we think we are the house, the kids, the job. It becomes really, it kind of hypnotizes us to forget. We go very out there, and even really, and even if emotions, they can feel very within us, but actually they're still a little bit out there. And it's understanding that there can be reasons why the life, kind of that human self, that ego, there are parts of it doesn't want us to remember who we are, because if we go into that stillness, we're going to wake up. And it's not that our ego is going to die. It does kind of die in a certain sense, but it gets reborn. The space that gets created, the beautiful, loving, peaceful stillness that's always within us, that light's always there, that can then rise up. And instead of living from this fractured, false, fearful, lacking self that we can become so identified with. And it is fearful, it is lacking. And of course, our body will react to those thoughts as if they're happening. If it's a fearful thought, we will feel fear in our body, we will feel an anxiety. And it's really, there can be, it's the distractions of life and our identities and what we think is really important, what's outside of ourselves. And the mind can come up with all sorts of reasons not to go into that stillness. We all can, but it could say, I haven't got time, I don't know how to do this, I don't want to do this, I don't know what this stillness is. And actually, no matter what emotions going on, no matter what thoughts happening, when we make that commitment to ourselves and we say, I'm going to be really honest with myself, I'm going to be really self-aware, I'm going to track this, I'm going to just do some breathing. And the mind might say, I don't want you to do that because, we need to sort this out in the head. Or, the body might become addicted to the emotion of the anxiety or the fear. Or, we might create a real identity around overthinking. There's a lot of evidence to show we have become very addicted to thinking. Eckhart Tolle talks about this. We're addicted to the emotions that come with that. And what do we gain from that? So it is that point, I think. And I think it's important to mention why suffering, we talk about positive and negative feedbacks in our bodies. Well, suffering is there. I think Abraham Hicks says it's the bumps in the road. The suffering is there to sort of wake us up and say, you're just getting a little bit off track. That's okay. That's all these bumps are. Yeah, just recenter. And no matter what the mind's saying, I'm going to take those breaths. I'm going to say the words I need to hear. I'm okay. As I'm sitting here now, nothing's here to hurt me. Nothing's happening. I'm okay. I can go into this stillness and space. So body, we don't need to run away. We don't need to fight. We don't need to fly away. In this moment, there is no physical danger. And even if the mind's saying that the bills need to be paid or this thing's going on, and yes, if there is a physical emergency you've got to deal with, then we deal with that. But the majority of things aren't actual physical dangers that are present in that moment. It's in our head. And it's there that we can say, I think all this is just keeping me in suffering. It's creating suffering. It's creating these difficult, painful emotions, this anxiety, this worry, this lack. Who am I? I'm not enough. Or all the things that the ego, the mind on its own thinks, because it's forgotten all of the wholeness, the love, the worthiness, the abundance, the prosperity, the safety, the trust. We're not on our own. We haven't got to fix it all. We haven't got to sort it all out. We can be in a really affectionate place of detachment where we're not always engaged in what the outcome is. It's actually, let's go within. What's my intention for whatever I do? What's my loving intention? And it's when we can say to those thoughts, I know their habit, I know you've got momentum, I get that. But it's when almost our soul can come in, our spirit, our heart, and says, right, come on now. I can think of all sorts of reasons not to go into this stillness and space within. But ultimately, we all reach that point where we say, this isn't working. It's not working. It's not working for me. So what's the alternative? The suffering kind of forces us to say, I'm going to go deeper than this. I'm going to reconnect with a deeper part of myself. And yes, initially, it might feel, the mind might kick up all sorts of different things. The fear might get stronger, because who will I be? You know, who will I be if I'm not striving for these things? Who will I be? And we can say, hey, sweetheart, it's okay. We're going to remind you who you really are, which is so much more than the limitations of just being in the head, that human head self, that ego self, the false self, whatever label we've called it. And then when we do the breathing, and it might be words that you get, because everyone's a little bit different. It might be words of, yeah, I'm starting to recognize these patterns. I'm starting to recognize these habits. I'm starting to recognize maybe certain thoughts. Maybe I feel powerless in this. Wow, maybe I need to remind myself that I am a powerful being. I'm a powerful being supported by an even more powerful being. I'm not on my own. I'm okay. I might have run off into the bushes screaming, set myself on fire. It's okay. We all do that. But it's the setting ourselves on fire that makes us stop and go, maybe there's another way. And it's that we reach that point of saying there's this stillness, there's this space, it feels loving. We feel a sort of presence inside us that, and I love it when I work with people and they first experience that. I mean, it always makes me quite tearful, because it's when you feel that amazing presence and it feels like you, but it feels like expansive, it feels safe, it feels intelligent, doesn't feel alone. And it's you, but it's almost like your soul you that's always there. But the human little mind can sort of be a bit scared of it because it thinks it's going to die, or it might be scared that's part of itself isn't there. It might be so full of shame and fear that it says, well, I can't go into that stillness because I don't think it's there. So it's understanding that, I mean, I know Wayne Dyer uses the word excuses. I think he wrote a book called Excuses Be Gone, where it's that self-honesty. What is keeping me in these habits? What's keeping me in my head? What beliefs have I got going on? And I worked with somebody who was so adamant that it was just the physical world. And I said, well, even with those beliefs, in a physical world, there's such a thing as stillness. There's such a thing as peace. So even just going to a place where they could feel that stillness, we didn't have to talk about, for this person, God. It was just, yeah, there is a stillness here. There is a stillness, and it's peaceful and it feels loving and I feel safe. And this person was able to say, without even labeling it, I feel supported. I feel there's something around me that's with me. And we didn't, for that person, if we used the word God, it would have shut them down. So for that person's journey, so it was beautiful to see that person witness that stillness for the first time. And it's knowing that that's always there within all of us. And yeah, it takes some self-honesty. It takes some strength and courage, as in, I can change this. I am responsible for how I feel. I'm not powerless in this. Victim energy can be quite addictive because it's for that false energy. When we blame the world or blame outside of ourselves or blame our body or blame our emotion or even blame our heads, it gives us a false power. It's not our fault. It's something else's fault. I can't do this because. And that's where kindness and compassion comes in with ourselves, and we say, hey, I see you, I hear you. But actually, I know there's more to me than this limiting belief that I'm powerless against this world. So I have to stay in this limited place because I can't do it. And that's where we say, yeah, you're not on your own with this. The world does adore you. The world does love you. The world does want to support you. And if the mind says, well, I've not experienced that in this world, I've experienced a lot of cruelty, a lot of abandonment, a lot of rejection, We say, yeah, I know, and I'm so sorry that you've experienced that. I know that's so painful. And we would never ever say, well, that's okay because you're waking up. We wouldn't do that. We honour the journey and the suffering that's caused, because that's when you're experiencing it, it's real. But then we have to get to that point where we say, right, are you willing to do something about this now? And it might be going into feelings that feel uncomfortable. It might be having to have that self honesty with ourselves and say, this isn't going to be easy. There's a habit here, there's beliefs here, there's momentum here, but I'm going to practice this every day. And also, we start to know that we can forgive ourselves as well. May I be forgiven for every time I forget that I am this loving stillness within me. May others be forgiven for forgetting that within them too, because that all makes us behave in fearful ways. So we come from that place of deeper forgiveness of we've just forgotten who we are. We've forgotten that space, that stillness, that Eckhart Tolle. And then within that stillness, that's when the beautiful, it opens up our frontal cortex. The back of the brain gets sort of, gets redirected. The frontal cortex opens up, and that's when that deeper wisdom comes in, the inspiration, the new ideas, the truth of who we are. You can do this. You're not on your own. We're here. And I love it when that happens. I worked with someone that was suffering from a huge disillusionment. They'd done a lot of work in the world, and they were saying, but it's not changing, the world's not changing, I'm disillusioned, I'm angry, and I've committed my life to this work, and bless them. And I said, yeah, and that disillusionment is because we need to detach from the outcome of what you're doing, and if there's any attachment to what you're doing, you're not totally responsible for the changes you want to see happen. But that disillusionment, that anger is a good thing, because it's bringing you back into alignment with who you really are and what your beautiful intention is for the work that you're doing. And for them, they would be feeling overly responsible, like, I've got to do this and the world's not changing. And when we were able to bring that back and that stillness came in, and for me, yeah, it's presence, it's that beautiful source energy, divinity. When that came in and opened up, they just started speaking words that I was writing down. You know, that thing of, yeah, I thought it was my job to save the world. And then she cried because she said, it hurts me to see the world in pain. And I said, I know, sweetheart, I know. But what if we can bless the world with what the world needs rather than getting lost in action? And it just recentered them to be able to see, yeah, everything I do comes from within, and then I create from outside of me. And it was just a gentle reminder for that person, when we forget that and create outside of us to bring what we think we need in, it doesn't work. And we're all just remembering that. So when this person reconnected with, honestly, the words they were speaking, they were profound. They were beautiful words that I was really reveling in hearing. So yeah, it's remembering we are so much more than our thoughts and feelings and our bodies.
Awesome. Thank you, Amanda. Like, I feel every time like you speak, of course, you know, you being inspired and so on. I feel you take us there. Like, at least, you know, the people that be following this, I hope you guys can, you know, start kind of like having a little bit of the feeling of what Amanda was sharing about, you know, the people that went there, you know, to take from this busy head that we have, or even the busy emotions that we feel into, and bring ourselves into the stillness. You know, Eckhart Tolle uses the stillness as the word, or the watcher, the observer. Um, and I feel I quite like how he puts on the book as well, because he avoids, I mean, for him, he avoids the word God a little bit, and he explains why. I think it was the Eckhart Tolle, he explains as well, because of all the meanings that we put into it as well. But of course, you know, I mean, we can use the word God as well. We can use the word universe, source, energy, however you want to put in that as well. They'll connect with you as well. So I feel, yeah, for today's episode, I know we mentioned Eckhart Tolle quite a bit as well. So if you haven't read it, and if you feel connected to it, there's a lot on YouTube about Eckhart Tolle. But one of the books that I postponed for ages, and I was talking to a friend like a few weeks ago as well, and she had the same feeling. She was like, yeah, The Power of Now, I'm gonna read one day. And I bought it and it's still there, you know what I mean, on the corner. And then it comes one day when you are like, and it happens to me even, like I start reading or listening to it, it was like, I can't connect with it. It's not the right time. But there will be a moment where you click into it and it's just like, oh, now I can see it, now I can hear it, now I can listen to this, now I can understand this, now I can observe it.
There has to be a readiness. And I think Eckhart Tolle said this as well, and I know it's powerful. It's when we reach that place of, I've suffered enough, all these ideas that the mind has that should make us happy. The suffering ends up working because it makes us ready to say, I think I need to wake up out of this. The suffering is the very thing, isn't it, that says, this isn't working, is it?
Yeah.
This just isn't working. And there's a readiness then to say, hey, what if there's a different way? And then that's something you become open, and you become, and I think self-forgiveness is powerful in that, isn't it? Because I think I've worked with people and myself as well that can say, well, I got really lost and I feel bad that I forgot. I forgot all this. And that's okay. That's what we came here with free will to do. We came here to go, what would it be like to forget who we really are? And we've done that. And we're ready now to bring who we really are into this world. So
I feel it's like I heard this analogy from someone, you know, like, and I heard this, and it makes sense to me. It's almost like if we love a film so much when you watch for the first time that you're like, how can I get that same feeling again for that film? You know, imagine your favorite film for the first time you watched ever, and then you can feel it in your body, and you want to have the same feeling. It's, you can watch over and over again, but it's not never going to be the same unless if you've forgotten everything. Let's say if you forgot everything, you could have that feeling over again, and then you forget again, and then you have over again and over
yeah.
again. But I feel almost like our, let's say, lifetimes, or you know, our souls, you know, decide to forget everything so we can have that, you know, rediscovery and, you know, learning and everything.
And I think the beautiful thing is that, and it's lovely, isn't it? Because I think we do need the suffering to wake up.
Yeah.
And then I think it's beautiful that we know that we even go beyond that, don't we? Where we can live in that beautiful feeling of, I think Eckhart was saying, when it first happened to him, that beautiful awakening, that peaceful, loving stillness never went. And I think that's what we realize, and we can live from that place of, it never has to go. It never has to go. It comes and goes. Yeah, sometimes as we're talking, it goes slightly to the background a little bit. But then when you meditate or take a breath or walk in nature or really choose to be conscious, whoop, that presence, that stillness really comes in again. And I think it's important to know that it doesn't mean that we're going to be this constant wheel of, I forget, I suffer, it's beautiful, I wake up, I forget. And it's kind of, we're on that to wake up, but then we realize that's just part of the journey. The next part of the journey is we can thank the suffering and forgive ourselves for suffering. And yeah, God, I can keep this presence, I can keep this stillness here. And if we lose it, that's okay, we come back. But the more you practice this, that stillness, that peace really becomes quite a stable in your energy, where as I'm talking now, yeah, I can feel it. If I meditate, go into nature, it gets really strong, really comes into the forefront. When I work with people, I'm really present. But then, yeah, if I'm doing my banking or making beans on toast or having a chat with my friends about, oh, I like your shoes, being very real in the world, yeah, that presence is still there, but I'm still able to be a human being in this world. And I think that's another one. I've worked with people that said, well, I don't know who I'll be if I live from that stillness. I say, well, no, you won't just sort of be a sort of drone that just sort of lives in stillness. That stillness brings peace and loving and abundance and prosperity and wisdom and clarity there. And that you start to live from that. And that's when we can let go of attachments to outcomes and distractions and excuses and false beliefs. And that little human is, it's beautiful. It's like a lost child. We just bring it home, and that lost child there feels safe. Um, and then it's on to the next stage of our journey. Wow, consciousness, living conscious of itself, living in a place of unity and harmony and abundance and prosperity and creativity. Wow, now that's something exciting, and that really inspires me. Obviously, I'm inspired personally, so I don't want to be suffering. I don't want to create suffering to people around me. But I love that thought of, gosh, every time each of us chooses to do this, we're taking humanity onto that next level. And of course, then it's all innocence is going to be respected and revered. Mother Earth's going to be taken care of, all animals or children or women. You know, it's like that John Lennon, imagine a world where we all live in that place of harmony, individuality, but unity, creativity, infinite value, of uniqueness of who we are. Wow.
Amazing. Amanda, I think we can end this. Yeah, sooner you have to go soon as well. But I would say, everyone, thank you so much for watching this episode with us as well. If you, I mean, if you haven't, read Eckhart Tolle, or if you feel pulled to, I would, yeah, definitely, have a look. Especially, I think his first book was The Power of Now. It's the most well-known one. You will know if you're ready for it as soon as you start reading or listening to it. I usually do audiobooks. Yeah, as soon as you're ready, you're gonna see it. It kind of connects, and of course, then you can
Sorry.
apply, some of those things. And as Amanda was saying, the more you practice those things, the more you can. It's not that you're gonna be just like this vegetable, not doing anything, to meaning life. You definitely, you start acting from that place of stillness. You start transforming, and the more you do, the more you practice. Like anything in life, the first time you jump in a pool and you don't know how to swim, it's going to be a bit difficult, and you get to come out, and then you jump back again, and then you jump back again, and so on, until you start giving some strokes, and then you can actually, oh, now I'm enjoying it, now I can do it. Do you see what I mean? It's like driving. Like anything that we do, it requires practice in that.
And I'm just going to say there's another book by Eckhart called Stillness Speaks.
Hmm.
You've heard of that one? That's really good.
I heard that one too. I think I listened to this as well. I think I get quite, uh let's say, inspired when I start reading one author. I get like through quite a few of the books together as well, but like then afterwards it just becomes like one big, like knowledge that I learned from them. So
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and it's we all need that. We all need something to inspire us, don't we? Like whether it's a
yeah,
teacher or whatever it is, and then we realize really it's all just leading us back to that wisdom that we have within, that self-mastery that we talk about as well. And it's beautiful having those reminders and that, yes, and I love that knowledge. And even just courage,
yeah,
you've got the courage to do this. That strength is in there. You can do this. We're all a bit different in where we are, that's keeping us here. So you'll start to find the words that you can say to yourself that allow you to go with it, and you'll start to recognize the powerful words that can take you there as well.
absolutely, guys. So thank you so much again for being here. I'd love to hear from you. I mean, this episode was, it's a little different because we've been talking a lot about Eckhart Tolle. We did, of course, talk about stillness. So I would love to hear from you as well. If you already, read something about Eckhart Tolle, how did you feel? Did you feel the resistance? Did you manage to finish the book? What did you change about it? How did you implement some of this stuff as well? Or if you haven't read about Eckhart Tolle, what did you understand from what we said here? Do you see what I mean? What does it mean to you? What was the first feelings that you got? Does it mean something? I would love to hear this on the comments as well. If you feel that there's someone that it would benefit from actually listening to this as well, share this, video with them as well. And if you like the video, it will be awesome to hear, I mean, to see your like button as well. And if you want to see more of our episodes or the future episodes as well, just remember to, click that subscribe and the bell button, all the stuff that we do on YouTube as well. So thank you so much. And I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye for now.
Love. Bye for now.
Bye.